Jason Knoll, Master Advisor here at CEO Warrior. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Just wanted to come on here today, talk a little bit about your P&L and the power it has in your business. Right, P&L, when I say P&L, I mean profit and loss statement. And more specifically, what I want to get into today is the layout of your P&L and making sure it's laid out correctly. So we want to make sure your cost of goods and your gross profit is laid out correctly. We want to talk about some of the pain points and challenges I see on a day-to-day basis with some of our members regarding gross profit and gross margins. Right. So the reason gross profit and gross margin is so important is that's the amount of money that you're going to generate from every job that you run. Right. And those expenses associated with that is how you determine if you're going to be able to offset your overhead expenses. Right. So typically overhead expenses are fairly fixed. Gross margins are a moving target. Right, so we want to make sure we're able to manage those on a day-to-day basis, make sure we understand what we're looking at, and we'll just talk today about some challenges that maybe we see when we have some gross margin challenges, right? So let's talk about a few of those things. First one that we see a lot of challenges with is pricing, right? We really want to dig in. Here at CEO Warrior, we dig really deep into your pricing. We really want to make sure we're accounting for all of your expenses. We want to generate your daily labor rate and your daily sold day rate. We have a calculator tool here to do that. We just plug in all your expenses. We're able to calculate that. Then you know your labor rate to be able to build your pricing. We got some pricing calculators and some job costing tools to be able to build your pricing, making sure you're achieving the right margins, right? And how do you know what margin you should achieve? It's going to be based on your overhead expenses, right? Well, that'll help us determine what your margin percentage should even be. And we can help you through that stuff here at CEO Warrior. So I like to spend a lot of time doing that. So that's one challenge I see. The next big one I see is dispatch ineffectiveness. So we actually have a class here at CEO Warrior, Dispatch Warrior, that we teach dispatchers how to dispatch for dialers. Right, that is super important in making sure you're efficient in your margins and making sure we're getting the right person to the right call. Right, I don't think everybody understands how important it is to get the right service expert to the right call, right? And there's so many qualifications that we want to base that off of. And a dispatcher is a very, very intricate part of your business, just to make sure that that's happening on a day-to-day basis, right? And an hourly basis at that, right? So we want to make some of the dispatch ineffectiveness that we see are large service areas, right? Where we have a huge service area. So it creates a lot of extra drive time. Right, and if guys are in trucks, we're not billable. It's not billable, right? So we need them on the job, charging for billable hours. And if they're in the truck, they can't do that, right? So we've got to be really smart on excessive drive time. Another thing is not having the truck stocked properly, right? We spend a lot of time talking about making sure you have a consistent truck stock. We want you to have 80% of all of the stock you're going to use, so you don't have to drive to the supply house, right? We don't want our service experts going to the supply house and wasting time. Again, that's not billable time, right? Not to mention when they're at the supply house, potential of getting recruited, right? So we want to keep them out of the supply house. So if we can have our truck stocked and then have a parts runner to run them parts if needed, that takes out some of that unbillable time as well, right? So that's the second one is dispatch time. The third one I want to talk about, callbacks and warranties. This is something you guys really have to track very detailed, right? So we want to make sure if we have a callback and warranty challenges, again, that's unbillable time. Super important that we know the challenges there, right? What we know from callbacks, that might be something that needs more training. We might need to dig into that a little bit, get some technical training, right? We got to understand what that means, right? We got to understand what that means from a callback perspective. And as far as warranty goes, we want to track that as well, right? If there's a defective part and we see that being a pattern, we want to make sure we address that with our distributors, right? So we want to make sure we accomplish those things. So those three things were the things I really wanted to dig into today. There's a lot more that goes into that, and there's a lot more that we can talk about in the future. But that's all I got time for today. That's what I wanted to talk about today. Appreciate your guys' time. Do me a favor, subscribe to this channel. Check back every week and see more videos. So I appreciate your guys' time today. Thank you.